Hello and welcome. And we are back with a new episode of the Repaint Reality Manifestation Podcast. I am excited to be here. My name is Karina. I'm here with Alexander. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Karina. Appreciate it. Thank you for holding the space.
Absolutely. Something that we talked about leading up to this was how I know my intention within this. I literally just said my intention a second ago, and I just feel like this is a good time to throw it out there. But awakening and strengthening the magic within myself, within everyone around me. And the reason I say myself first is just because I feel like we gotta pour into our cup so that way we can allow overflow.
Oh yeah, it always has to start with us, how our mornings go, what our plans are for the day, and then how can we be of service to others.
Absolutely. Oh, that always feels magic. And I know that you were just sharing some of the magic that you're about to be making available for others. And if you don't mind, give us an introduction about who you are and what you do and what it is that your light shines into this world.
Absolutely. My name is Alexander J. Fox, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, now living in Austin, Texas, and absolutely love it. And the things I do are I'm a Reiki master, so I help people with basically anything in their lives, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I use energy just to basically aid in their healing so they can feel better, more confident, more at ease and peace, and just have the least amount of worries. And then I also I'm also a life coach, but I like to use energy and life coaching in the same session. So I'm an energy transformational life coach. And I go deeper than just life coaching. Like I'll go into past life healing, I'll go into ancestral healing, DNA upgrades. I'll work on manifestations with people so we can amplify those and bring those into our reality. And also use like breath work and meditations and sound healing as well. And yeah, and I get to do all of that while being here in Texas. I'm helping people all over the world, like in Australia and Ghana, Lithuania, and Costa Rica, and even places like Alabama and West Virginia, California, back home in Ohio too. So it's been a blessing and an honor, and I'm very excited to see where else or what else and how else this journey is going to unfold.
Literally zapping the world, one
Yeah.
energy session at a time. I think that's really
Oh
cool
yeah.
the way that you provide the full experience. And I think that's something that I've even learned as I've grown up in the spiritual world and in the modality method too, of being able to say, like, what can I offer to others to be of service? It's like it's hard to show up with just one facet. And as much as it helps to articulate it in the beginning, like, here's something just so that way me and you can agree on something like a Reiki session, but like you really can't just do one piece of it because like if someone needs a little bit of that message, like what are you going to do? See a message and not share it with them in that moment when you're in a session?
Yeah, sometimes like you'll get messages that are like really profound, and then sometimes they're even like really heavy, and sometimes you can't share all that heaviness with them because they're feeling better at the end of every session. At least with my people, I know some people that like they've had some bad Reiki sessions and they feel worse.
Oh,
um yeah, that's like I've heard that a lot happening here in Austin. Not a lot, I should say, but a little bit. So it's a little
okay.
something to be aware of. Just
Yeah,
making
making
sure that
sure that you
you
feel comfortable with your practitioner or your master, whoever it is that you're
bingo.
seeing.
Yeah. And making sure that you feel right with them, but also what they're saying is pure and they're not in it just for the money. Like they can literally like walk you through it and stuff like that. So, but even when I get messages, and sometimes like they're really heavy, I'll find another way to say it. So it's just like, hey, maybe just keep an eye on this, you know,
Hmm.
or just be a little bit weary of like, maybe what you're doing in life, like just little things like that, because if I try to overhaul it, and overwhelm them, then it's just like, oh wow, they just went from being like this to like, oh God, now I got to do this to them, and
I
then
could see that getting. See, I guess something I've had recently in a format that I've structured, if you will, that has helped is the energy refresher I started to do, and I did it a few years ago. I just recently brought it back to just because of having the new shop open and having a place to actually do it. But I start with the reading first, then the
Mm.
Reiki, and then afterwards an intention mandala. That way, and the goal of that was so that way the reading, we like literally start with that, with bringing up everything, all of the, sometimes the readings have good messages where it's like, really empowering, but sometimes most of the time you also have like funk that you're releasing and thinking about to get to those like lighter, more empowered places and messages. So I like
Ah,
that it starts with the reading because it's like we dig it all up and we get it all like, okay, we've stirred it from the mind, we brought it to the conscious. And now let's immediately switch to the energy session now that we are both aware of what it is that we know that. And that way it's because it's not like messages aren't going to come up in the Reiki session still whenever that's a different style of channeling. But I think it's kind of nice that what that a lot of the people, it's like you start digging up those weeds, and it's like in the Reiki session we go through and we like clean out the leads and put them in a bag together, and then we
mm,
suddenly go into the intention mandala, and it's kind of nice because it's something tangible and light and feels a bit more fun at the end, a bit more almost more touristy in that sense, like I'm doing something like getting my nails done, and it just kind of makes
mm.
the full experience. And that's what I liked about you having all of your unique sense, but it's like everyone has their different puzzle pieces,
That's right.
and it's cool with each unique individual, the puzzle experience that's curated. And heavy stuff will still come up, but I liked in that process that it seemed like it helped to make sure there was always a cherry on top at the end, no matter what, because of the structure, closing off with
Right.
them getting art that says their intention from the like that point on.
For sure. I love how you do that because like if people always had like news for someone else, then or how people would start like, so do you want the bad news or the good news first? And most people would be like, okay, start with the bad news, right?
Yeah,
Because we just want to get that out of with and that over with, and then let's go to the good news,
we know there's
right?
something to look forward to.
Yeah.
We need hope.
Yeah, we need restored faith, restored love, and restored confidence, and get rid of fear and guilt and shame, and really evolve from that, like just learn from your past. You can't keep living in the past, and if we bring that stuff with us into the future and we haven't healed from it, then it's just going to continue to be the same time loop, the same timelines that we always have been living. And we're supposed to change. We're supposed to become better versions of ourselves, and sometimes that takes a lot of deep shadow work. There's even things that we never even thought that we need to be healed from, things that we even forgot about in our childhood that get stored into our subconscious minds. You even have, if you want to go deeper, like your soul is an infinite being, right? So your soul has had past lives, and then there's parts of your soul that are living parallel universes, and then you also have to get ready for your future, right? So anything in your past, literally past lives, past in this lifetime is carried with you, and you got to learn how to integrate all of that so those same feelings and emotions don't affect you, so you can live your best and highest right now and forevermore.
See, I love that. Oh, and the idea of being able to clear from past lives too, the shadow work, past life shadow work.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. And in this past life too, of course.
mhm. There was
Yeah.
That's cool. There was once a meditation that I got to try that really resonated. I hope it helps anyone if they ever decide to try this in their own version. It was guided when I did it, but it was taking myself, visualizing the self coming up onto that cloud. I always like in hypnosis styles the way they'll bring you up to that cloud.
Mhm.
And then being able to float over the timeline. And the quest was anytime that I felt I was not enough. So anytime that my soul questioned being enough, when did I feel that I wasn't enough? And going back on this timeline, meeting those moments and, reframing them, making peace with them, giving love to that younger child, if it was, in his child sense or just past self sense and this timeline or past. But then it was cool because then it went back beyond to past lives in addition to just this life here, and it was
Mhm.
like, okay, now find those moments when you felt that you were just not enough in those moments and like reframe those too. And it was really nice taking the concept of like, okay, like you're worthy and let's like take away these moments of not enoughness, but going not just here, but in the past too. Like past, past, past. and then
Right.
which would be parallel as well.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. Just other versions of ourselves living in all these different dimensions and timelines. Yeah.
We like our human words to try to verbalize it, but I think it's beyond verbalization sometimes how math quantum it all truly tends to hold itself in.
Yeah, where it literally everything is infinite. I mean, basically, right?
I think so. So what
Yeah.
got you on this path? What was it the thing? And I love when people ask me, and I'm like, I don't know, since childhood, but like, was it childhood that you had people around? Did you have a big awakening and aha? Did you have a Reiki session? You're like, I'm curious. What was it for you that opened this the most, or maybe in pieces?
Yeah, it was in pieces, but the when it first started, it was like like every single one was like a massive piece. It's like imagine like a puzzle with like 1,000 pieces in it, and then like you found like probably 100 pieces in like one moment. Like, and I had like 3 or 4 of those, like just those big moments that just really shifted my entire life, like just upside down. And it started when I had Crohn's disease in like 2016. And because I made a lot of poor choices in life, cheating on my girlfriend, being guilty about it, having shame behind it, eating very poorly, making not the best decisions in life, and hanging out with people that were always just kind of doing the same things, and I wasn't evolving. And then like when she broke up with me, I was even when I was dating, I still felt like my rock bottom. But when a woman tells you, I like spending life with you, even when you're at your lowest point, and that still doesn't even like get you into like your happy-go-lucky dance and everything, like I was like, fuck, I really ruined this, like it was on me. And then after she broke up with me, I ended up going through just a whole bunch of crap, just like internally. Um, and then I met a new friend, and he basically was telling me how he had like backpacked Europe and was like teaching English to like all these schools and everything. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then I was in my senior year of college in 2017. And I know the timeline seem a little weird, but like I was in school for like 7 years, basically,
Oh, it
college,
happens.
because like I didn't know what the fuck to do.
That's a
um,
college thing I learned.
yeah, thank God for community college because I would have been broke if it wasn't for community college. And I had planned a trip to Israel, and then that kind of fell through because I had some friends that lived in Tel Aviv and West Bank. And when it fell through, I was like, dang it, I really want to go somewhere like before life really starts with working a full-time job. Like, what can I do? And then I was like, oh, Europe. And then I called my friend Charles. He told me all about Europe again. And then we went to Scotland. I literally ended up meeting him in Scotland in 2018.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then May 25th of 2018 was the day my life changed forever. We just got done hiking up a mountain, and then we hiked down the opposite way we came up, and then there was a fork in the road to get back to our Airbnb. And he's looking at his phone and he goes, okay, we can either like hop this stone wall, go across this golf course, and we'll be home in 5 minutes, or we can walk around the golf course and we'll be home in 30 minutes. And I said, we're going to hop this wall. So we hopped the wall, go across the golf course, and then we ended up on this side street, and it's like super quiet. You could just hear our footsteps. And then all of a sudden, I stopped walking. And then my vision turns black and white. And then I hear wind chimes. And then I turned around, and then I realized I had been here before. I had dreamt of that particular moment in my sleep, in my dreams, and it came true in this reality.
Ooh, those moments. Ooh, so what happened next?
I broke down and I cried.
Okay, I don't
I
blame you.
yeah, I was so shocked. I was so confused. And then like my buddy he's like 6 feet tall, he's just kind of staring down at me like, dude, we just like hiked up a mountain, smoked a little cannabis, and we're going home. Like, do you get emotional when that stuff happens? And I'm like, no.
Something different, I promise.
Yeah. And
I
then
saw
I
different
tried to,
dimensions all at once.
that's literally a part of it. I'll tell you what I thought of when I've come through so many, like conclusions or answers or wannabe answers, right? But when I was telling him, like what happened, he's just speechless. He's like, dude, I think you just smoked too much. Like, like what's going on? And I just said, dude, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And then we go home, everything's kind of back to normal, and then we have dinner, go to sleep. And then we go for our adventure the next day. And everything, literally everything that entire day was deja vu. Like where we went to breakfast, like where we went in the streets, where we were meeting people, like churches, billboards, like everything. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Nothing made sense.
Followed in line with a dream.
Yeah. It and then it didn't stop happening. And it hasn't stopped happening. It's been happening for the past 4.5 years of my life. And the biggest answer conclusion that I can come up with that like makes sense is like a part of my soul like came back from the future. That's like what makes the most sense
I
to me.
mean, when we talk about things in the sense that if everything's parallel and we can like feel those past lives from our awareness in this conscious moment now, I mean, who's to say that we aren't that? I mean, that makes sense that we aren't that past life to a different point of awareness, but we are
Mm-hmm.
just experiencing this point of awareness here right now. So
Right.
like it's like forward memories. So what I guess I've always called them forward memories.
Mm.
Um, the idea of, and it just always kind of made sense in my mind when I was like, oh, it's just like I've walked into a fort, and it's just because it was already there. I remembered it, but because especially when it's more than deja vu, and it almost is like you see something in advance, or it's just kind of synchronistic in that sense.
A ton of synchronicities for sure. And that those have played pivotal roles in my life into where I am right now. And like with those deja vu moments, like one of the biggest things I learned, like when I was back home in Cleveland and I was just going through life as best as I could, knowing this was happening to me. And you know, like sometimes like the space that I was in, like being out in public or hanging out with friends, like would be stronger. And then sometimes it would be like more light or like more dense and like heavy. And it was just after I started to realize like I was living like in a time loop, like the same things are kind of happening over and over, like hanging out with the same people, kind of doing the same things every weekend, almost every day to an extent. And I was just like, wow, there's got to be more. There's got to be more to life. I don't really know what that is, but then, you know, um, and then I had my second spiritual awakening, which really, which really was the catalyst for who I am now, and that was in Gulf Shores, Alabama. um, I'll tell the story real quick. So there was a woman, she was having a seizure, drug overdose on the beach, and she was like in the fetal position. She was like shivering and rocking back and forth. And I asked her, like, what's going on? She's like, I feel better just sitting down right now. And I just said, okay, this can't be happening. Like everyone in our friend group's having the best time ever. And everyone's so happy and dancing because we're at a music festival. And then I just said, what can I do to heal this woman? And then I got this download and I could like feel the energy just come through my crown chakra, which I was learning about the chakras at that time, um, a little bit, which was funny. And then I got this thing called like a ball of energy. And I was like, okay. So I started making this ball of energy. I just started playing with it, pretended it was a basketball, juggling it like a soccer ball and dancing. And then after I like powered it up, I looked at her and I said, hey, get ready. She's like, wait, what? And I said, get ready. And she's like, oh, okay. So then I jumped up in the air. I slammed this ball of energy at her. 10 seconds later, she got up and she was dancing like there was no tomorrow.
My goodness. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah, it was so profound. And then I learned like what energy was and like intuition. And then I started learning more about the chakras and meditation and like consciousness. And I was like, holy fuck, this is life. This is a whole
Yeah.
nother realm of life I had never even like knew about.
Well, and I think what's cool is something in your story that really stands out the most to me, and a thing that we all have access to, no matter how many tools we think we have right now or not. You freaking asked. You said, "What can I do?" Like you surrendered it, and you knew what you wanted. Which in manifestation, it's like know what your goal is, know what you want. You wanted to heal this one. You wanted to help her heal, and
Yeah,
then like you got to surrender it a little though with that, the how and everything. And when you did that, it's like that's where the next part, intuition, comes in. Guides and sources, universe will be like, "Okay, fam, this is the how." And then you actually took action on it. You believed in it fully and followed through with full belief behind it. The only reason
yeah,
I'm breaking it down is so that way anyone listening is able to see how like this process is so beautiful, and it continues to stay consistent. Knowing what you want, asking, surrendering, receiving, acting. Like
mhm, yeah.
before
And
you even fully knew all the chakras, and there you were making profound changes.
yeah, it, and I didn't even question it. Like if I would have taken a moment to even question it, or like just even think a different thought and get out of alignment from what I was trying to do, that that probably does not happen, because then I start head tripping about it and then I'm just like, oh crap, okay. And then she doesn't get healed. I don't find out about my energy abilities. And then I don't know where I'm at today.
I
And
mean,
I'll
yeah,
be
isn't it crazy? That belief, it does things.
Yeah, literally. And the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and fantasy, you know?
No.
So God created everyone and everything. Like, why would God create anything less than itself?
Yeah, the image aspect, that we are that image, and even I've always liked there was a phrase that I was told when I was probably right out of college, and I always liked it. And it was, and I have not studied the Bible well to know if this is actually in there or not. If some people have been like, "Where is this?" And I'm like, I haven't studied it to know. But it was the idea that Jesus had said, "You will go on to do what I have done and more."
I've heard that too.
Okay.
I don't know if that's in the Bible either, because I didn't study it. I've read a little bit of like the New Testament, just like because I like the stories behind it, because
Mhm.
it's very like high vibe, like, or not all of it's high vibe, right? Because a lot of shit happened, but a lot of high beliefs, a lot of like stories that can get you to believe.
Mhm.
Like some people be like, oh yeah, Jesus did that, but then it's just like with that, what you just said about Jesus saying, you guys can do what I can do and more. I just
That piece
paraphrase.
isn't a piece I hear as much from everyone, being like, so you tapping into your unlimited magic abilities to just change the world and heal others because we were shown the way. Let's do it, fam. Let's
Yeah,
go
yeah,
out
we're already
there.
here. We were literally living in the same world that Jesus did, so we know anything's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I always liked that perspective of it. That one was always one of those where I was like, I'll take that nugget and I will let that be thin.
yeah.
That's
Why
what's
not?
cool too, is that we have different beliefs. That's something I think that's been resonating with me more, is that it's okay if we have different beliefs that help me in my alignment with my missions in this 3D world navigate. And then if someone else's beliefs are, different, similar, different, but as long as it helps them navigate. But the fact that all beliefs get to be chosen still. And so that's a weird line of knowing that we have so many that are out there and we get to kind of puzzle piece them. But I think it helps to remember that they are puzzle pieces that we can remove and replace if it ever
Yes.
isn't serving us anymore.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've had to even like remove like people in my life, because they were serving me, and then I found out like, oh man, they really weren't like, and then like, oh, maybe like that belief or like that little thing like that I learned from somebody was just like, oh, that was really cool, but then I found something even better,
Do you have a
and
favorite belief you've ever switched?
a favorite belief. Wow.
Yeah, that you've ever like replaced or swapped that you're like, whoa, I didn't even realize I could have swapped that belief and now everything's different.
Yeah. Wow.
I know,
It's an
it's got
amazing
me thinking
question.
too. I hope everyone's thinking on that right now. Like, what's your favorite
Yeah.
belief you've ever switched? Like, huh?
Uh, when I realized that there was more to this world than that meets the eye, like just living like this life, not knowing anything more than just like, going to school, going to work, hanging out with friends and playing video games, eating food, and then just kind of learn about yoga and then meditation. So like I flipped the script, like I play a little bit of video games. Like we have family game nights. Like we play online. Like we'll play Mario Kart or Among Us or something like twice a month for like a few hours, which is a lot of fun.
Fun.
Um, yeah, I love that. And I eat a lot better food now, but sometimes I like to indulge. But for the most part, I try to keep like a very high vibration and trying to make sure that like I have inspired action. Um, Oh, okay. So here's one belief. Okay. So Abraham Hicks.
Mhm.
So you know how she always says like, don't expect anything.
I don't know everything. I don't know all the quotes. I know of
Oh,
Abraham Hicks and I know some, but I do believe that that would be a quote of hers.
okay. Yeah, she always says like, just don't have any expectations on things. Just put it out there. Just feel good about it, and then just see what happens. So I resonate with that because that has happened to me a lot in my life where I'm asking for things, I put action out there, and I don't expect, how it's going to work. Right. I just know somehow, some way it's going to work. I've been manifesting things since I was 13. I didn't even know what manifestation was till I was like 26, 27. And the belief now that I have, and it's a paradox, actually, it's a paradox belief. And I don't expect anything, but I expect miracles.
Ah, yes. I like that.
Yeah. And I created that. That was all me. I don't know anyone else who's ever said that because everyone else is like, I'm gonna have to sit with that one. Or like, wow, that was like the most powerful thing, like you said, like during our speech. Like I said that at my church, and then like even the guy sitting front row who's like a big time politician back home in Cleveland, Ohio, even he was like, please preach that. Like that was just amazing. Like,
It
yeah,
swims you back into the place of being an infinite being choosing to experience a 3D world almost. It's like don't expect anything, but expect miracles. It feels like it's the perfect lacing of all of that concept.
perfect lacing. Yeah. It fits the shoe, fits the buttons. Yeah.
Fits. I think the favorite
Did you?
belief that I've swapped so far has been the belief that I can swap beliefs. That has been my favorite, favorite, favorite.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it overrides. I have a defined, if in human design concept, I have a defined ajna center. And if you're familiar with human design, the defined ajna center is basically your belief center. And typically the recommendation in that sense, depending on the different gates, is like, oh, like it may be harder to shift beliefs. Just because you lock them in so concretely. They're so like undefined ajnas are like, oh yeah, I could shop around for new beliefs. And defined is like, okay, it's easier to build a way to stair step a process and build a habit of having a process. That way you can continue to shift beliefs when it comes up. And so for me, my defined ajna was like, I'm overriding this by making my most powerful belief the fact that I can shop around and shift beliefs and that that serves me more than sticking to any belief.
Yes. Because change is inevitable, you know?
Yes.
Like we know like things don't really last. I mean, things are infinite, but things don't serve us forever, you know? And if we want to get better, become higher versions of ourselves, and to really make impacts in this world, then we always have got to grow and level up, always.
Definitely. And
Mhm.
something you said that I want to come back to is staying in a higher frequency life or living in alignment versus higher frequency life. What does that mean for you?
Yeah,
What does that even look like for you?
it's being of service. It's treating my mind and body and soul the best I can, with diet food. Making sure like my scrolling time is at a minimal, and making sure like I can be in a creative state. Communicating with people, and just being authentically me. Like it's a lot of fun, and I've changed lives all over the world. So like I have this, I have a new belief in me, that like I am worthy. Like even I had a point where even when I was helping a lot of people out with like these miraculous healings and everything, like people in Idaho and California and Australia and Lithuania, like even after doing all those, like I still didn't feel worthy, because I'm still like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it in this world. Like I don't know how to carry a high vibration. I don't know how to make myself happy all the time, and it's getting a lot easier. It's getting so much easier to be happy basically all the time, because I've flipped, maybe not flipped, but I've connected new neural paths in my brain so that I can always just be like, okay, like I'm not worried about rent. I'm not worried about lack. Like my life coach says, the only thing I lack in life is lack itself.
That's a fun one too.
Yeah. So maintaining a high frequency, it's really making sure that your mind is great. And then, you don't want to think too much, but if you're gonna think those happy thoughts. Do that. And then when you want to get out of the head, then drop into the heart center, because then you're not thinking, you're feeling. And then having those like appreciation, gratitude, love, confidence, and belief and knowingness that everything is going to work out. You may not know how,
Mhm.
and that's okay. Just continue to have, steps in front of you. Like you may not know exactly where you are from a year from now. Like I'm only planning my entire month of March because I feel so much more power when I'm just like manifesting in a time frame instead of like even like the year and 5 years. Like I do a little bit of that to like put some momentum, but when I'm doing it for short periods of time, I feel like there's a lot more energy that I can cultivate, for the space of like 1 month instead of like the 5 to 1 years.
And that's so important to lean into what feels good. And if anyone has ever, like anyone that's watching, if you guys have ever been led towards manifesting in a very structured way, where like, I better write my 5 year, 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, I think a really good thing to know is like what you said. Remember what feels good. Remember what makes you feel powerful. That's what you said that really stood out. Like, I feel so much more power when I go in a 1 month. That's
Hmm.
something I think for all of us is nice to remember is that when we have this world of like everyone sharing all of their tools and methods, it's like, okay, and then shop around in all of these modalities, what makes you feel the most powerful? And I think that 1 month structure is like, I think it's cool that you were able to like tap in and find that and honor that.
Yeah, it's it's been a huge blessing. And also another key thing is reverse engineering it. So like I
Huh,
saw myself on March 31st with like, with this happening. I don't want to share my manifestations. I'm going to keep them with me,
that's
but
okay.
like, okay, I would love this, I would love that, I would like this many of this and that, and then I'll have all of this by March 31st. And I just like I get so excited because like I just keep powering it up, and it's just like, and then opportunities start flowing into me because the universe is like, oh, we can play this game. Let's have some fun. Let's solve some
Yes.
dance. Let's do the mashed potato, the tail feather, the stanky leg, the two step. Let's have fun.
Full, full hoedown is that what they call it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, go and do
But
it. Yeah,
I
and
don't
come
know.
with
Think of
Vicky.
Oklahoma, whatever it is they all showed up at.
Oh, Cotton Eye Joe?
No, in Oklahoma, in the musical Oklahoma, when they all go to
Oh,
that
oh, that
gathering and
one.
they're all in the, I was a theater kid.
Yeah. Oh, I saw Oklahoma. My high school drama club did that. They did that that play.
Those poor kids. We all learned some Oklahoma.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys did. That's a classic. Yeah. Wow.
So, so whenever you're in your higher frequency, and I think
Hmm.
that's amazing. Something that you said was the worth. So, do you feel when you're not able, and I know that right now you're been in your frequency, is there a part of you still that ever kind of subconsciously goes into that feeling of if you're not in that high frequency, that it is equal to like your worth feelings?
Oh, it's a beautiful question. Um, so when I'm not in that high frequency, I do my absolute best to make sure I don't get anything lower than feeling neutral. Like if I have a little tough time trying to think of the happy-go-lucky thoughts, obviously I don't want to think about the worst possible case scenarios because that's kind of like what we've been programmed to do. It's just like, oh, this is not going well. And then you kind of go down that rabbit hole of like, oh, that could get worse. Oh God, I see that happening too. Damn, you know?
See, I've
So
wondered almost if there's like a little a shadow within that shadow.
yeah.
And the way is it seems like it's like we don't want to go into worst case scenario or the negative of things because we want to stay in the high vibration talk and the positive. But I
Hmm.
think there's almost a shadow that gets created where we don't figure out where the fear exists within that shadow of the worst case scenario to take the power back away from it and back to ourselves almost.
Ooh, I love how you said that. That's so
It's like
true.
I've been playing so much with this idea of feeling worth and knowing that that worth is true and exercising that unconditional love and worth,
Yes.
even when cave exploring, if you will, into all of those spaces and into those emotions, into those frequencies. Cause that's what I've been wondering a lot lately, especially since you've been on that path with staying in that higher frequency. It's like, how does it feel with that worth when you go?
Yeah.
It's interesting that neutrality, even just keeping with neutrality.
Yeah, because there's times where I'm just like, oh, okay, like that person told me no, like, okay, that's all right. I'm not gonna get that down or oh, like I had a class last night and no one showed up for it. And
Hmm.
that's okay. Like, I've had people show up. I've had like 17 people show up to my classes. I've had two people, I've had 13, 10, 8, it fluctuates, but I know it's not a knock on me, and it's just some old programs and beliefs of just like, things were to go wrong, you didn't feel worthy, then, like we stay down there because no one ever told us like how to lift ourselves back up. It doesn't really happen. I mean, like sometimes, like maybe like a mom or dad be like, it's okay, like you'll get it next time, but then we were still more hard on ourselves,
So
than we
not
had.
going into that realm without a way to stair step back into the higher frequency, especially.
Yes. Hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because even when people told us, oh, it's okay, like you'll get it next time, like it sounds okay. It doesn't sound like,
But it's
hey,
not always truth, and it's not always what we need.
yeah.
I
Especially if
mean,
like, oh, I messed up this time, like what makes them think that I can do it again next time? Like I failed this time, I might not get it next time,
it's
you
almost
know?
like, what about the opportunity of having massive love for yourself when you don't get it right and you may not get it right next time? And the fact
Yeah.
that it may not be something that you're good at and that you're still completely okay, even if that's not your shindig. There may be other things, or maybe you still want to passionately figure out how to get good at it. And it's okay if it takes you 10 times longer than everyone else trying it their first attempt. Maybe it was your dedication that gives you a million more ways to help others learn it because of the fact that it took you that 10 more times.
Hmm. And some people are not willing to go through those 10 extra times, you
Yep.
know? Like like when I started creating my events, it took me, a few tries to get things right. And
Oh, yeah.
like and I got blessed, like the universe, and you know, and because I've changed so much that like a lot of people see my light, they feel it, like they know what I offer, and they're just like, oh yeah, we want to be a part of that. like it's truly a blessing. And I've had to do so much work on myself, like not just like my inner world, but like my outer world. Like I want to be able to connect with people so like they know that I care for them, that
Mhm.
like I want them to be at their best and highest, and they would want the same back for me.
That
Yeah.
makes it beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. It's the wonders of service and shadow work and manifesting and meditating and consciousness and having inspired action. Yeah.
And then not making it mean anything about you, it seems. It's the
Yes, even though it is like all about me, but it's like, it's all about me because I'm creating it for all of you.
That way it doesn't feel personal. I think one of my favorite phrases, that it reminded me is there's no meaning in anything except for the meaning that you give to it. And some
Mm,
people hate that phrase when I say it out loud. So people look at me and they're like, I don't like that. I don't like that. And and I'm also sometimes careful with where I say it, but I feel like in this context, it's that idea of if I show up and I make an event and no one shows up, it has no meaning except for the meaning I give to it.
yeah.
Some people are like, I've seen people too, especially when I've helped with the marketing and different things and all over where it can almost get into this slippery slope. It's really easy for the subconscious to go, does this mean this isn't what I'm supposed to do?
Yep.
Like I had this dream, I manifested, I'm now putting my aligned action. You said it was aligned action. I'm putting aligned action out there. It may not even be aligned action, it may be terrified action based on what someone else said worked. Um, but it's like I'm doing action and it's like making sure it doesn't have any meaning except for the meaning you give to it. So, you can have the same event and say, okay, I showed up, I did my thing, I learned again, and now I'm going to try again with what I learned from this time and move forward. Or you can make it mean, oh, I'm not supposed to do this. No one wants to be here. I guess I should go home and never
Hmm.
try again. Isn't that crazy? Same situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Meaning.
And yeah, and I mean, I applaud all those people that kept trying, because that could be really hard because it's like, those first few times you fail and you're just like, oh, you start to question everything, go down those rabbit holes, and then all it takes is just one time for it to feel good, to change someone's life. Like even if I had one person show up to my event last night, it would have been worth it.
Hmm.
I mean, it's worth me being there and showing up, right? But like it would have been so much more meaningful. It would have just been like, you know what? Like I'm gonna give this one person my everything because they chose to be here and support me and to choose betterment in their life. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And that becomes powerful, especially if you can have that one-on-one. It's like you didn't know you were getting gifted a one-on-one whole bound, but here you go.
Yeah, you're gonna get way more than what you paid your
You thought it was a group
$22 for.
session. Yeah. So it's cool about those things too, especially when people get to show up physically, show up and be in your swirl. That's neat
Yeah.
that you get to do a combination of distance and in person. Have you found a preference or a favorite, and maybe it switches at different times, but how do you feel about your distance sessions versus your in-person experiences?
Wow.
Hard?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Different.
my in-person sessions, um, some of them like I would have to say like almost half of my in-person sessions were not even like pre-scheduled. Like I would literally show up in a moment and then like someone would need energy healing, like that one woman in Alabama. And then there was a guy in Mount Shasta, California, who had a seizure on top of a mountain. And I had to use energy healing to bring him back down into his body. Um, I got to heal a woman from lupus disease in Boise, Idaho when I was traveling at 11 o'clock at night in her front yard. Like that was bizarre. Um, but then I've had energy sessions where, I was in Costa Rica, right? And we just got done like traveling and hiking and walking all day. And then we sit down at dinner. And then there was my Guatemalan friend Alfredo. He's he gets a phone call from his friend Jorge from Colombia. And like they're talking in Spanish. I have no idea what they're saying. And then like 2 minutes later, Alfredo goes, "Hey Alexander, do you want to give a Reiki session right now?" And I was like, what? And he goes, my friend Jorge, like his mom, like she just found out she has cancer. She's been like feeling very ill, like she broke her hip a few weeks ago, like her sprained her wrist, like injured her shoulder, like so much is going on with her. She's like 80 years young. And, I just told her that you're a Reiki master and that you would just like give a session. And I said, like right now, like we're at a restaurant, like dinner, And he goes, yeah. And I said, okay, fine. So
Okay.
then, yeah. And then,
Clarifying.
you know, um, and then he gets the phone, has it on FaceTime, and I'm FaceTiming her. And then Jorge is translating English to Spanish for his mom. And then I'm doing energy healing, and literally within like 5 minutes of me doing the energy healing, Alfredo's phone dies. And then I'm still channeling the energy.
Because it still works. You don't need a phone for energy work.
No, I do not. No. But he grabbed his other phone, his work phone, and then he called Jorge back, and then they get the camera back on Carmen Rosa, his mom, and then just channeling energy. And then at the end of it, she's like, wow. Like Jorge was telling me she was feeling better. And I was like, this is amazing, loved it. And then after we hang up the phone, like immediately, as soon as we hang up the phone, I start bawling my eyes out. I had all these tears rushing down my face, and I just like couldn't stop crying. And Alfredo's looking at me like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then like 10 seconds later, Jorge gets or Alfredo gets a message from Jorge, and then it literally shows up on the screen on his phone saying, hey, I don't know what's happening right now, but my mom can't stop crying. And and then I got this download that like she was like a nurse or a doctor at some point in Colombia. And then I found out that she was actually a nurse for 40 plus years in Medellin during the reign of Pablo Escobar's as es or thing, his reign. Yeah.
So she had some carrying.
Oh yeah, I got the download. It was about 25 years of trauma that got cleared from her in about 10 minutes.
It's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah. Energy sessions, there's no joke. When you want to cry, cry, cry.
Oh
Let it.
yeah, please cry. Yeah. Do not
People
hold your
sometimes are
tears
like,
in.
I'm sorry, nothing happened. I know that this is random. It's like, it's not. You showed up for this.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, best believe it's real.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite like online distance stories. Just because they like happen out of the blue, out of nowhere, and they can be just as powerful as being in person.
One moment. Okay, so that was a really freaking cool example of distance Reiki. Um, Energy sessions are amazing, in my opinion. The way that they dance into us, do their work. Thank you for sharing that. Um, and
Thank you.
also, we got to talk about so many cool things today. And for all of you guys here, Alexander and I have kind of went into a direction of thinking maybe in the future we could possibly dance with a round two of these informations. But we'll let you know if that does come into fruition whenever that day comes. Because
Mm-hmm.
surrender as it's meant to be,
Divine
as it's
timing.
meant to happen. But if you could let me know where we could find you, what you've got going on, I'd be appreciative. I'm sure others would be too.
For sure. Yeah, so you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at the Fox Wellness Den. And I I will have a mastermind class happening March 19th. I don't know if will this video air before then?
Yeah, what day is it? Yeah, it's the 7th, definitely.
Okay,
It may
sweet.
not be released on the 7th to all of you listening to this. It may be dated, but definitely before then. So 17th,
Fantastic.
all of you guys, get in on it.
Beautiful. So yeah, the on the 19th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you just like follow me on my social media, you'll be able to find out the link and everything and the passcode or the meeting ID. And this mastermind class will be with energy healing, meditation, and breath work. And we're going to tune into our higher selves And then we're going to receive downloads and messages, and then we're going to write them down. And then we set the intention that this is going to be your future vision board. And then you'll be able to create the vision board like after our session within the next few days. And then I'm going to also share with you tips on how to get that vision board to really come true in this reality, into the physical.
That's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And
And what about your one-on-one sessions? Do you do anything like that, or is it mainly in these group classes?
I do have one-on-one sessions. I do in-person and distant Reiki sessions. So you guys can follow me on social media and find out there. My website should be done very soon, so you can schedule me there at thefoxwellnessden.com. And so yeah, I have those. I also have sound healing and breathwork sessions, one-on-ones. And then I also have life coaching, but also have the energy transformational life coaching, where we really dive deep into your energies, your past lives, your ancestral healing, even doing DNA upgrades, and also doing like general healings and chakra balances, and then also doing life coaching as well. So if there's things that you want to fix in your reality, then like we'll talk about it, put new meaning, new emphasis, new emotions behind it, start to tell a different story.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, and then
All tools bringing you back into that alignment.
yeah. Mhm. And then I have a few different packages for that. So yeah, you can look online and on my website. And then yeah, uh, and then we also work on manifestation as well. That's a
Yay.
really big key. And then we do some metaphysical healing with like relationships with certain people, so like we'll really start to manifest and cultivate new relationships on an energetic level. And then I'll show you ways and teach you ways to, like say like the right things, to have more of an understanding of where that person's coming from, but making them feel heard, but also making it known that they can respect and honor your decisions. And it doesn't have to be like this tug of war,
Like conscious conversation and boundary setting.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah. That's a beautiful way to put it, because I had to go through that like with my father. If you're watching this, father, I love you, but we did go through some shit. Um
I get that. I
and
do almost like that sometimes.
yeah, right. And and we really grew and healed from that, and it doesn't affect us anymore. So it's
Good.
really
Yes. That's beautiful. That healing though is beautiful. And I think there's something beautiful too about when you can honor, like it wasn't perfect, but that's part of what makes people what you are. That's forgiveness and beautiful relationships beyond just the standard. Like it's always supposed to be perfect from A to Z.
in other realities, yeah. Not this one.
No, it's like, how do we have this love and have these connections and relationships? It's boundaries, it's conscious communication and boundaries. If we want to keep people in our circle that we love, but we know to make sure that we stay safe.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. On all sides. Yeah.
That's a cool offering. That's a neat offering.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. So
That's
yeah.
yeah. Well, that way you guys know Alexander's over and you said it was Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
Okay, cool. So that's an Austin, Texas point on the map. Sorry, I mess up my words sometimes. And then if you guys are ever in Spa City, the Hot Springs, Arkansas, I've actually just opened up a new spot down over on Park Avenue, which is a really cool historic district. So, not talked
Hmm.
about this on an episode yet. And so, for all of you people, if you are in on a new round of Repaint Reality, do know that that is something new for this adventure. There's now a tangible storefront that you guys get to walk in. And if you ever come to Hot Springs, I hope you definitely come by and bop into the shop if you ever want to just feel it out, or even do a pop up. I've had some people that are planning on doing pop-ups if you ever just want to like tap back into your hot springs, people be like, hey.
Oh
And
yeah.
so
I love
it's
hot springs.
yes. And it's been amazing. It's Catch My Eye Magic if you guys ever anyone wants to find it. And catchmyeyeMagic.com and
Mm.
761 Park Avenue. Hours 12 to 8, but not Wednesday. I think that's my shout out.
Yeah, beautiful. Park Avenue. That's right off of Main Avenue.
Yeah, so we got Central,
Oh,
and that's
Central
the
Avenue.
downtown historic downtown and everything. And then as
Right.
downtown curves, you've got it where it splits at the end of the strip into Park. The continuous curve is going into Park. Or you
Oh,
could turn left
where's
onto Whittington. Yeah, at that fountain at the very
okay,
end of
so
the
yes, you'll go left like towards that big school then, right?
that would be Whittington. But if you keep straight on the curve, that
Hmm.
sounds weird. But that turns into Park Avenue.
Okay,
And that's
okay,
where I am. Um, and it's
okay,
really
very
cool
good.
because there's this park that they're building right next to it. They've been developing it. Park Avenue has been known for being a bit more because you know Hot Springs pretty well, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay. So like it had that rough reputation a bit. And even when I graduated college in 2017, it still was at that point that people were starting to invest in it and do a lot with it. And it was like really picking up the amount of community support that was going on with it. But even now, I don't know how many years it's been since I graduated, but six years. So now 6 years later, it's like very much so like these fundraisers have had years now of doing their fundraisers. So the historic lights are continuing down now. We have good lighting down the road. We have a park that's having a splash pad being developed. So these are the things that I think
Sweet.
are really cool for the community and the kids even. Like
Yeah.
abandoned buildings being refurbished and restored and just places for things to do. I mean, so I'm really glad that it's extending Hot Springs in the downtown experience, especially because it's just known for being such a healing town.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so beautiful, and they do have like a lot of great people, a lot of great attractions. Like they have the bathhouses, they have the national park,
Crystal
you know,
digging.
crystal digging, yep. And they got you have all the fountains to get your spring water too,
That's what I drink. Yep. That's what I have in my house. We just go up, fill up gallons about once a week.
Yep. Yeah, it's the way to do it. I actually like when I travel through there, like from Ohio and Texas, like I will make sure I go to hot springs and I will literally, take these jugs and I will
Yep.
fill them up. Like I have so many jugs actually saved up. So like when I do go back to hot springs down there in that little corner thing,
We're ready.
yeah, they're ready to go. That's how much I love hot springs.
Well, our favorite closing question then. Do you have a favorite spring to get your water from?
My favorite spring. Ooh, okay, so you know where the hmm. Okay, so there might be two, but you remember, so you know who Kalidas is, right?
I'm bad with names. I might be shaking my head and I might entirely know.
Okay, you've definitely met him. He's friends with Dustin,
Oh, okay. Then probably.
taller guy, built. He's younger though.
Mhm.
Okay. We went to, I think it was Lake Wachita, and
Okay.
and they have
The
like a
Three
spring.
Sisters spring?
Is that like where all seven of the springs actually like meet into like one spring?
Yeah, there's an area there where it's several of them, but it's almost open. It's not the same as the springs where you have to push a button.
No,
These
no,
ones
this
are like
this one just comes out of like a pipe.
flows. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so there's that one because because it took I don't know, it took a long time to get there. But it was just like water just like kept flowing out and I was like, wow, so that one's a good one. So, but if I'm going to talk about one of the same or one of the main seven ones, I would probably say it's a tie between the one like in the central like on the hill like where it's the very hot water,
Mhm.
that one like where it's like on the hill, not the one like right on central.
Just slightly behind.
Yeah, that one. And
I know
then
which
you
one you're
also
talking about.
okay. And then I like the cold spring when you have to like go like all the way down that one street where it hits like the do not enter sign. And then like you go up into like it has like the entrance to the park where you like drive up it.
Oh, so that's gonna be the Happy Hollow Spring over by the Arlington. Once you go down the Arlington Road towards the mountain.
Yeah, it's got the big
Yeah.
hotel on the corner.
That's my second favorite spring,
Your second one. Okay.
Happy Hollow.
Beautiful. What's your number one?
The Whittington Avenue spring, because it's the pink spring. It has a little bit of a pink tint in the water because of the minerals that goes through.
Oh wow. Which one is that one? Is that the one
That
like the end like where the fork is?
yeah, the fork, how I was like, turn right to go to Park, and then if it's left, it's Whittington towards that big school.
Yeah.
That is going to be where your pink spring is going to be, down that road. You have to go all the way to the end of it and curve back though. And it's when you're coming back that it'll be on the right side.
And it's got the ones with like it's got two different
Mhm.
things, and it's in a brick wall, right?
Yes. Yep.
There we go.
That's the one. I like that one.
I've had that one. I think I've had almost all seven, like individually. I think there was like one or two that I probably missed, but
I know there's one
yeah,
even at Arsenic. And so it's one of those where that's like an inside someone's personal like dwelling, but they let people from back when I knew is they let people like come in sometimes and even access that spring. It's cool the
interesting.
springs that we've got going on here.
Really.
But that way, if anyone's coming into Hot Springs, we have now shared some of our favorite springs. That way,
Yeah. Hot Springs is amazing. Like, oh my goodness. And then if you have a chance, go to the Quapaw for your bathhouse. That's my favorite.
all right. Well, I'll have to take note of that because I actually have not done that yet. Like, not gone to. I've gone to Arlington when I was like 16 because my mom worked there and she had a comp, and I was in so much pain for something that she like let me use her comp for massage because I had done something horrible to my
Mhm.
body. But
Okay.
I've not actually gone as like an adult to go experience the baths. And so Quapaw, I'll take note of
Aren't
that.
you,
You just said that.
aren't you born and raised in Hot Springs?
No, I mean I was only here since junior high and up, but that's still no excuse.
Oh,
That's a good
okay.
chunk of time.
Still, yeah,
Well
that's
over a decade.
yeah. You have to go to the Quapaw. That one's just it's so amazing. It really is.
Will do.
Yeah.
Will do. Well, thank you so much for being here today and being present and sharing your stories and your energy and your wisdoms.
Absolutely. Thank you for holding this space and being who you are and what you are creating. We see you and we appreciate you. So, yeah, much love and blessings to you.
Well, thank you. And
So
to
welcome.
everyone on Repaint Reality, see you next time.